Hey there, happy day 1032 of What You Up To Now. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here at your service, documenting my journey as I transition from the brick and mortar world, corporate world, over a quarter century in corporate America, 47 years of different businesses in different industries. Let that all go to jump in on the online world in 2017. I've been documenting my journey for the most part during the whole journey. I guess probably the first 8 months to a year, I, like everybody else, was scared to death and was not going to do a live video to save my soul. I said no, 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 no at every possibility, every occasion of being videotaped. And I said it's never going to happen. Well, unfortunately, my vision has had other plans for me. And so I've gotten to the point where I cannot write down and do everything I want to do. So I need to do video to capture my lessons learned so that I can learn them and not make the same mistakes again, as well as just kind of share what's working, what's not, the good, the bad, the ugly of the online world. Because like any industry, we have our inside information and insider secrets, right? Every industry that I've worked in, and there's been many, there are ways that insiders do business, and there are ways that outsiders try to break in and do business. And sometimes just knowing one little tweak or trick or way an industry does business is enough to get your foot in the door and have a huge impact on that industry. I learned that in my corporate career as I switched from industry to industry. Most people, like me, I grew up an engineer. I went to engineering school. Stick in one corporation. They go to work or at least stay in the same industry. So I sort of stayed within the same function. I early on in my career, after, getting my engineering degree and a couple of other degrees, I worked for some giant corporations and started out in the manufacturing track. And I wanted to do manufacturing marketing. I wanted to learn about both areas in that job. And it was basically told, no, you either come into our organization as part of the marketing arm and you follow that marketing sales track, or you come in as an engineer or a manufacturing leader and you come in the manufacturing part of the business and you follow that manufacturing career path, and the twain shall not meet or crisscross ever. And so I didn't like that answer, and that's when I started, I loved that company because I got some of my great foundational learnings, and I increased my love of continuous learning and growing by some of the amazing trainings I was afforded the opportunity to participate in at that company. But I knew that I wasn't going to be able to meet my own career objectives and what I wanted to develop and who I wanted to be over my lifetime if I stayed in that organization. So I learned early on in my career that if I wanted to achieve what was right for me, I was going to have to work in different companies, different industries, and find my own path, make my own way. There wasn't going to be, well, here's our proven career path. You can just follow this system and you will be successful. In an organization at that time that had over 80,000 employees, I didn't see that happening for me or for very many other people. And for me, for a lot of reasons. But I didn't choose to go down that road, down that path. And because of that, I've created my own very unique career path over the decades. Some things have been awesome and very successful and super easy, and excited and delighted I took those roads and those paths. Others, yeah, not so much. Others sometimes were like hitting a brick wall, dead stop. Okay, what do I do now? How am I going to get through this wall? Or am I going to go around the wall or over the wall? How am I going to deal with this challenge? And so challenges have been a part of my life and a part of my experiences since I was a little girl, since I was a very, very little girl. And so I've just come to embrace and love challenges. I don't always love them when I first experience them, but I've learned over the years to find a way of dealing with them in a process, which I actually share in and have been during COVID-19, in a 30-day free get up and go challenge. I mean, what do you do now? Yep, this happened. I can spend a lot of time being unhappy and devastated that it happened, or I can say, yep, this happened. What am I going to do about it? I like the what happened, so what next? I like that model because it gets me moving faster to a solution. And that's what we always want to do, because we're always going to have problems and changes and stuff that comes up. It's just inherent in being a human being. Otherwise, life would be pretty darn boring. At least that's how I like to look at it. So today, what are we working on? Today, our idiom was beat the band. Finally finished, and you can see it's well worn, and I've got 2 notebooks like this that go along with it. This little book that I found, and I cheated and used as content for or the idea for content for the last 634 days plus, because I didn't start counting until after a while, after actually quite a while. I did a lot of them. I just randomly would pick them every day. And I started doing it because I was in the process of moving out of, divorce, moving out of my home for, I had 40 some years worth of stuff or more accumulated in that property. And I needed to get out and get it fixed up and get it sold. So as part of that, I was like, well, what am I going to do for content for my business people, my Supersize Your Business folks? And I started looking at, some people do a word of the day. I'm like, I'm not going through the dictionary and doing a word of the day. I'm going to do an idiom of the day. And I found this little book. I had gotten it for my kids, and when they were in junior high, and it had never been looked at, never been opened. I think maybe I had paged through it once, but otherwise the kids never got around to looking at it. They didn't care that much. They didn't care about idioms. They were into paintball and snowboarding and things like that, active things that were more important than learning what idioms mean. And some of the idioms and the way they're defined in this are sort of hilarious. It was written in the 90s before the internet. And so for me, it became fun to see what they said in here and then compare it to what's available on the internet, which is, huge. And that's when I realized there's like 20,000, at least 20,000 or more growing all the time, idioms that are used in the English language alone. So I am not out of ammunition. I am not out of idioms, but I need to figure out, how do I go from doing probably about 700 idioms and pick new ones going forward so I'm not repeating. Will it matter if I repeat one? Chances are not, right? I was reminding myself of that this morning. Chances are nobody has seen all 650 or 700 idioms that I've done before. And I have a whole different perspective because I'm a totally different person as I look at those idioms now as I was when I first started doing this and first started looking at the idioms. So that's my big challenge. It's tomorrow will be the first day that I need to come up with another strategy for finding idioms and selecting idioms. Now tomorrow happens to be Thanksgiving. So to me, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to go on Google and I'm going to say Thanksgiving idioms. And then I'm just going to pick one and I'm going to share that tomorrow. And that'll be pretty easy. Now, I bet there's Black Friday idioms, right? And since we're coming into the holidays, I know that there are Christmas idioms. So I could in December do top 25 Christmas idioms or countdown to Christmas idioms for the month of December. I don't know yet. I haven't decided how I'm going to do it, but I know that that's a whole lot of idioms. That's probably enough idioms that I could do one every day for the rest of my life and not run out of idioms. I could do the math on that. What's 20,000 divided by 365? So it gives me years worth of information and data, right, that I could continue to do. And then I can always go back and categorize and group and pull things together and say, what are the top 3 idioms for this specific type of business owner? What are the top 10 idioms for people, for coaches? What are the top 10 idioms for manufacturing business owners? I mean, I could do all kinds of fun things with it. So I don't know if I'll keep doing it, but I'm going to do it for a while. I'm not going to give up just because I ran out of the book. That would be quitting. Not really a quitter. So tomorrow, I guarantee that you'll hear a Thanksgiving idiom out of me. Today was beat the band, which was an interesting idiom. It's got 3 possible meanings and 3 possible origins, all of which tie into, to me, attention, how to get attention and how to get positive attention. I mean, you say, yeah, negative and positive attention are both attention, but I want to get positive attention. I've had both negative and positive attention. I prefer positive attention all day long. Although people will notice negative attention more than they'll ever notice positive attention. It's just human nature. It also means to be very quick or very fast or very much of something, which is easy to do in our businesses and in our lives. Just be yourself. Guess what? Nobody else. With you being you, there is no competition. Absolutely zero, because there's only one you. And then the third is to outdo or outperform in a way that people don't expect, right? So if you do something and serve your customers better than anybody else does, could, or would expect, you win the customers. It's as simple as that. So that was our idiom for today. Get Up and Go Challenge, which is No Nonsense November now, this month. It was all about audibles, audits, and appraisals of, and process review of the things that we do, right? Not our characteristics, not our goals, not anything about us or personal appraisals, but the things that we do, the processes we use, and why it's important to review the processes. And it's important to separate processes from people. right? A process should work for everyone the same. If the process is well written and works, it should work for everybody that uses that process and follows that process, and they should get a predictable result out of that process. Performance is automatically, individual performance is automatically different for everyone because we're all unique and special human beings. So I wanted to focus on the process and the system part of it, the part that should be repetitive and controllable, not on the variable part. Because if we can pull out the parts we can't control and we control those, it makes our results a lot more consistent in any area or aspect or walk of life or business or anything that we're trying to do. We can do the same thing with our habits. We can do a process review of our habits. If I have the habit of doing something every day that helps my health, like if I exercise every day for an hour and I have a habit and I check off that I've done that and I have a process for doing that, that's something I do that gets me a result that I want. So that was a fun one today. I have been doing audits for decades as part of my college life, my corporate career, and my businesses just have been in auditing for a really long time. And I like it. I like it because it helps me to periodically check in and make sure that the systems are working and I'm getting the results that I want. So we talked about that today. Fun challenge was about enemies. And, you know, it's better to turn your enemies into friends than to have enemies. I mean, enemies take up a lot of energy. I don't know about you. I haven't really had a lot of enemies in my life. I just haven't been that controversial. But when I do, or when we have haters online, you can use a lot of emotional energy responding to them and going back and forth. I am to the point now where if I get a hater or somebody, I laugh, and sometimes I'll ask them a question because I'm really curious about how they came to their reason for sharing the piece of feedback that they gave me and why they said it and how they said it and what they're really thinking. Because sometimes people use like initials and things, and I'm like, I have no idea what that means. I'm not going to Google it. What do you mean by this? I don't understand what you mean by this. Had one yesterday, and I'm like, I don't know what you mean by this. And the person was upset because I had used a filter. You know, we have these Facebook filters that we can use. And what was this? It was actually on the idiom of the day, and the idiom of the day was jet set. And I had used the Louis Vuitton filter that goes across your face, and that offended this person because they're like, I don't know. I got an answer back, but it still didn't really explain why it offended them. They said that I was advertising, and I'm like, I pick filters for fun, not for advertising. You know, sorry that I said you obviously have put more thought and intent into how I picked and why I did this than I actually do. So I thought that was pretty funny. So that the whole enemy thing, you can waste a ton of energy on enemies, or you can find ways to make your enemies your friend, or you can find ways to make your enemies a non-issue. And normally we just don't pay any attention to them and we make them a non-issue. And the thing with like enemies and bullies is giving them attention is what they want. By paying attention to them, you're giving them power, and that feeds their egos and that makes them feel good about themselves. So the worst thing you can do is, you know, especially online, go back and forth with bullies, go back and forth with name callers, go back and forth with enemies type negative behavior people. You just choose not to engage. So that was interesting. Getting ready for the next Get Up and Go Challenge, which will start December 1st. I honestly have a few ideas about it, but I have not thought about it. I'd be lying if I said I'd thought about it at all. I've thought about it maybe 3 times just in passing. Usually when I'm talking about something else, I'll be like, oh, that's a good idea. Like the other day, I got the idea that during the December 30-day challenge, my purpose and objective as I go through that personally is going to be to create the early 2021 challenge summit. We're going to do a challenge summit. I told a bunch of people I'd do a challenge summit, I would lead it. So now I have to do it because I committed to doing it. So will plan and put the pieces of that summit together as part of the Get Up and Go challenge for myself in December. Now that's not the overall purpose of the challenge to have a project or something. The purpose of the challenge is to give people a process and a framework that they can install in their subconscious that guarantees they'll have better results after any change or challenge that they face, whether it's as big as COVID or as little as deciding what flavor coffee you want to drink in the morning. You will have a process that will automatically run whenever you're faced with a challenge, a change, an obstacle, a decision, a choice. You will automatically have a framework that your subconscious and your conscious can go through to guarantee that you're going to get better results. I've used it. I can't tell you how many times this year. The process runs automatically in me. So every time I have to face a challenge, a change, a dilemma, a question, it automatically goes and works in me, and it then serves me up the best possibilities for myself. And I pick among the best possibilities, and instead of all the possibilities of dealing with a situation. So I'm actually, as I'm talking about it, I'm actually excited about that, getting ready for the summit as part of that, because it makes me have a project that I'm planning as I'm going through and learning and growing and sharing tools with everybody else. I actually have a specific project that I'm working on and a plan that I'm working on and the different pieces of that. And maybe what I'll do is I'll break the pieces of what it takes to create a summit down and do that as part of my homework. And I'll align that with personal or physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution goals and objectives and those topics that we talk about, and use that as examples throughout to show people how you can use a challenge that you're delivering to other people to actually create and add value to your own life. Not just to add customers. They're using them for marketing all the time now, which is great. And I get it, because it is the fastest, easiest, most effective way to get people a result. And how you show people and prove to them that you can serve them is help them get a result. You don't get it for them. You help them get a specific result really, really quickly. Super powerful. And once you help somebody get a result, they feel like they should reciprocate and they should be involved with you to get more results that they want. So that's it. I am going to go start my day. Granddaughter today. So I've got some shopping to do, and I don't want to go shopping, but I do have to go get a couple of things. And that's it. Have an absolutely awesome day. If I can help you in any way, questions, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow with an update on what I'm doing as I go from the brick and mortar offline world to the online world.